Hello everyone, welcome along to sunny Paul Ricard for our second race on this very happy Sunday. Mother's Day here in France and 23.5 degrees. Sunny skies and actually about similar to the track conditions that they experienced yesterday. A little bit lower track temperature, which is 36.5 degrees. A humidity slightly lower than we saw yesterday as well, but still a beautiful day to be in the south of France, and all of our drivers have benefited hugely from a late start this morning. This is what happened yesterday in race one. It was a very, very good start for the Peugeot of Teddy Claret. A bad start from the outside of the front row, which was Mehdi Benani. He got swallowed up by his teammates. Also, look at the back of the pack there. A horrible start from Tom Coronel, who ended up last going into turn one. Yellow flags actually fluttered. They thought he'd stalled. He got himself back, started again, and actually by the end of lap one was in 12th position. A big, big push to the inside for Teddy Claret to protect that inside line from Felice Jelmini. Jelmini then got a little bit crossed up into this turn two. There was a little bit of contact, and that sent the fourth of our Hyundai Elantras, Sami Taufluik, off with a puncture, left front puncture, and it was day done. Right there at turn two. The tyre obviously not up to full pressure and therefore came off the rim. Mikael Ashkina didn't have the straight line speed in his Cupra, although had good track position early doors. He was slowly swallowed up by the Elantras that were very, very fast. The Honda of Isidro Calles pulling over with a technical issue, but teammate Jack Young had a great battle with Mikael Ashkina all the way to the flag. They swapped positions. In the end, it was Jack Young who got ahead. Teddy Claret took the victory, a healthy victory, ahead of Felice Jelmini. It wasn't a hugely competitive podium. Jimmy Claret rounding it out, the first time ever the Claret brothers have been on the podium together. Yeah, the first time Teddy Claret has ever taken a win in TCR Europe, and the first time ever the two brothers have been on the podiums together. So their pommery was very welcome last night in the paddock after work was done on their cars. And it will be advantage Jimmy this time, I think. This is the entry list that we had from Slovakia with just one change. We have no Daniel Naj, PSS with Davidovski and Girolami in the Hondas, Mikael Ashkina in the Cupra, the Volcan Cupra, then Jimmy Claret in the Peugeot, his teammates to Teddy Claret. They'll also run two Seats as well, Sylvain Poussiat and Gilles Colombani. We've got four Elantras run by Seb Loeb Racing, Niels Langeveld, Sami Taufluik, Felice Jelmini and Mehdi Benani run in those cars. Isidro Calles for Honda, best of the Hondas in Slovakia for Brutal Fish. But Jack Young doing a great job here yesterday, and their team owner Martin Rieber also here. The Audis of Tom Coronel, Nicolas Bart and Dusan Borkovic, well, they are heavy. They're about 100 kilos heavier than the Hondas, and therefore struggling here. But as always in TCR, you kind of take the rough with the smooth, and whilst this weekend is going to be tricky for them, they're looking forward to Zandvoort, our next race, where they should be lighter and therefore should be competitive again. Older Hyundai i30s of Matto Homler and Joachim Galash run by the Yannick Motorsports squad as well. Ashkina still leads the championship, a hugely healthy margin over Mehdi Benani. It is over 30 points now, and you get only you get 40 points for a race victory. Tom Coronel moving up to third position, 68 points, although Coronel himself not having a very good day. He ended the race with a hugely dented rear right door. That was because he was assaulted by Evgeny Leonov on the very last corner, and that's why he dropped from 9th to 10th. But then the stewards flipped and reversed it, and Tom got back his 9th position, and therefore 68 points. There is Viktor Davidovski, who will be our pole man. And that is going to be a position that Viktor is not massively comfortable with. And the Macedonian for PSS has plenty of experience in the team. Girolami, the Honda Works driver, brother to Franco, is here to advise, and I expect Franco to be in the lead going into turn one and then try and help his teammate Victor. And of course, that's one of the reasons why the professional drivers are alongside the more gentleman drivers, is to help them along. So let's see if Franco can lead Victor into turn one and try and get away from Mikael Ashkener. Ashkener is going to be very, very tricky to beat, I think, from third position on the grid. But we do know that these Peugeots are incredibly fast this weekend. They were kind of hopeless in Slovakia. They haven't really had much of a weight break, a change of BOP. But whatever has changed, and it's a centimetre on the ride height, for instance, has made a huge difference. Jack Young was very strong yesterday. According to the other commentator that's sitting in my box, he's still got his phone on him, liking tweets, although I'm sure actually he's got a social media team that is liking David's tweets. But Brutal Fish looking strong, little British flag, a nod to Jack. And he was very good yesterday, best of the Hondas and really fighting with Mikael Ashkener. Then we have the fleet of Sebastian Loeb racing Elantras. Niels Langeveld is the first, and with the Tom Coronel-esque helmet, it's the Eru Emmental cheese, which is the livery of both Tom and Niels' helmets. And he is the first of our Elantras. The second, Sami Taufluke, who's going to be hoping that he can get himself a few more laps than he got yesterday. He got precisely 2 corners, the lightest of taps, and that, unfortunately, demounted the front left tyre from the rim, and he pulled over. He didn't even try and limp it back to the pits. He should have done, really, because he might well have got himself a couple of points. Remember, we score points down to 15th, and so we only had 17 finishers, and a couple of them were limping home. It was a really frenetic race yesterday, and poor old Mehdi Benani was one of those who picked up a puncture late on, running, well, my technical analysis of the tyre was they were running far too much camber. I think the Hankook engineers who were here, or technicians, I should say, also came to the same conclusion. They give the teams, all the teams, a recommended camber and pressure to use. But of course, the teams then try and push the boundaries of that. And Sebastian Loeb Racing, with Mehdi Benani's car, falling foul. There is race winner from yesterday, Teddy Claret. And he will be flying high to see just how far he can get in that Peugeot today, because, as I said earlier, those 2 Peugeots look very, very strong. They're little cars, they rotate well through the technical stuff, but they still seem to have the straight line speed, and they didn't seem to be troubled too much. Ultimately, we didn't really see them racing too hard because they were in clear air most of yesterday's race. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope once they're in slipstreams. Evgeny Leonov, the second of the Volcano drivers, helped by Mikael Ashkener, and Ashkener really very active with helping his teammate, always going through data, always going through videos. Leonov and Coronel got a little bit of contact yesterday, that very distinctive DHL livery that Coronel's made his own over the last couple of years, and kind of very recognizable, isn't it? He goes into next weekend in the World Cup at the Nürburgring with a different car, because it's the updated version of the RS3, and a very different livery. And it's a camouflage livery that Audi are putting on all of their cars in the World Championship. And I think Tom will be stripping that camouflage livery off as soon as he possibly can, because this DHL thing really, really works for him. We are slightly delayed, by the way. We should have been getting going about 4 minutes ago, but due to incident and accidents in this packed schedule that we have here at Paul Ricard supporting the SRO GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup, I think I got that about right. There was bits and pieces lying on the circuit, so we had to clear that up, and that's why we're a 5-minute delay. But it does mean we have a nice clean track for our touring cars to dirty again, because they do like to do a bit of rubbing. There was plenty of rubber marks on the sides of most of the cars yesterday. We really did have a very, very entertaining encounter. Back of the field for Klim Gavrilov in the Audi. Actually, Sylvain Poussier there, we got a glimpse of him, and he starts in just behind Tom Coronel. So a good qualifying position for Poussier ahead of Homler and Galash, Rieber, Borkovic, and then Colombani, who's effectively his teammate. They're in an older Seat Cupra, not the latest generation that Volcano used, for instance. And so the idea is that whether your car is old or whether it's new, they should be well balanced. But those Cupras a little bit further back. Davidovski, the diamond leader of the championship, is our pole man. It is a PSS front row. Volcano Motorsport with Ashkona in third position, and then Clare, Young, Langeveld, and the fleet of Sebastian Loeb Racing Elantras with Taufik, Yelmini, and the last of them is Banani, because we reverse the top 10 with Teddy Claret, the pole man from yesterday and the winner from yesterday, 10th position. Chaos will want to finish after retiring yesterday, and then Leonov, Coronel, and as I say, Poussier in 14th position. Marked as a Cupra, but effectively started his life as a Seat Leon Cupra. Nicolas Bart in 15th position. Matto Homler disappointed yesterday. Yannick Motorsport have not got on top of that Hyundai whatsoever. Martin Rieber down in 18th position. Didn't establish how much of a penalty he got for missing half the track on those last couple of laps. And then Borkovic was positive after yesterday's race, despite not really featuring. He had a few cuts and bruises on the front end of the car where he got himself into a few physical battles. Car looking nice and clean now, but Borkovic circumspect, knowing that this weekend is a bit of a write-off in terms of points. He picked up a couple, but not very many. He picked up 3 actually from race yesterday. Sits down in 12th position in the championship, and he'll be looking to score big at Zandvoort. That's kind of the aim for all of our Audis. Ashkana leads, Banani, Coronel, and Felice Yelmini up to 4th in the championship, just a couple of points behind Coronel, with Franco Girolami behind him. And then Nils Langeveld with Daniel Naj, who isn't here. He's our one omission from the entry list that was originally published, because Zengo Motorsport, based out of Hungary, unable or finding it difficult to cross borders. And so I actually saw him, he was at a hill climb event yesterday with Norbert, and a really spectacular hill climb event in Czechoslovakia. Norbert doing a mega job keeping BMW 318, but it just didn't sound like one or look like one on a very, very wet road. So now still getting their motorsport fixes, but sadly not with us in TCR Europe. And fingers crossed we get to see them back at Circuit Zandvoort on the 19th and 20th of June. We'll then go to Spa-Francorchamps in July, Nürburgring, Barcelona, all with SRO. And we'll be heading to Monza as well at the start of October. So a full 7-round campaign with 14 scoring races. And of course, also, let's not forget, we do score our qualifying quite heavily. 10 points for pole position. And therefore plenty of opportunities to get points, 40 points for the victory as well. So Davidovski on the pole, Franco Girolami alongside. Franco's the younger brother of the Girolami brothers, and his brother here, actually not necessarily to help Franco, but more to help Viktor Davidovski. And we see that with a couple of our teams. Cars are all formed up. It's going to be a 10-lap encounter, as was yesterday. The green flag flies at the tail of the field. It was a short hold yesterday. It's a little bit longer today, but we are racing. It's a very, very poor start from the 3rd row of the grid, which was Jack Young, and we've got yellow flags fluttering at the tail end of the field for somebody who has stalled, but at the very head of the field, Ashkana looks to the inside of Davidovski. He's managed to get past him and Franco Girolami, but runs a little bit deep into turn 1, and look at that, the Peugeot with Jimmy Claret into the lead already, and that bodes very, very badly for the rest of the field, because he has got a clear track ahead of him and nobody's squabbling around him. Jack Young, obviously not a good initial getaway, but has now got himself up into 5th position, and one of the PSS cars down to 6th spot. So is that Viktor Davidovski, or is that Franco Girolami with the worst of the 2 starts? Jack Young getting sideways. He's got somebody up the tailpipes of him and 3 wide, and not a huge amount of progress being made by any of our Elantras. Well, Teddy Claret saying that he didn't get through turn 1 or through the first split. So was he our staller? Oh my God, Teddy Claret is way, way, way back. Our winner from yesterday has had an absolute mare in the first sector alone. and he's not going to get himself another podium as Jakub Galash looks like he's outbraked himself hugely there. Cold brakes or a problem with the brakes, who knows? Martin Rieber there as Galash rejoins, but he will be dead last. So Claret, Ashkan and Davidovsky third, so it was Girolami who made the worst of the starts of those two PSS cars. Langeveld up to fourth, Young in fifth position. And we haven't lost Teddy Claret, but he is way back, and it's not been a particularly strong first lap from Jimmy Claret, has it? I said at the second corner there he'd scuttled off and run, but already been caught by Ashkanar and Nils Langeveld as well. As Davidovsky, I think, has gone back behind Langeveld. Mato Homola side by side. And that is for 10th position with Sami Taufik. Taufik up the inside has made that stick. Something very wrong. I think the rear suspension of Galash has gone. He's struggling to keep that car facing in a straight line. He's doing actually quite a good job to keep up with the pack, considering, yeah, look, I'm sure that rear axle is not pointing in the right direction, but he's carrying on anyway. And over the line for the first time then, Claret, Ashkanar, Davidovsky, Langeveld, Young, Girolami, Benani, Yelmany, Kalash, Taufik, Homola. Sylvain Poussier there. Dropped down to 15th position, now being passed by Dusan Borkovic. So that's now 16th spot, and here comes Martin Rieber looking for a way past. Davidovsky's actually behind Sylvain Poussier, sorry. It's Nicolas Bett who's got ahead. Poussier does look like the cork in the bottle though, doesn't he? He's got a gaggle of TCR cars crawling all over him, and he runs deep and wide, and his teammate gets pushed sideways by Gavrilov at the tail end of the field, and that's going to be at least one position lost by Sylvain Poussier by not getting the apex, and Teddy Claret is into the pit lane. Our winner from yesterday is going to be out of the points. That's a real shame for Claret Sport. It was looking so promising, and into the pits he comes. Is it a puncture, or is it something more sinister? Because we did see that the yellow flags flew at the start of the race, and it could have been that he just didn't get off the line, or he's done a drive shaft getting off the line. Borkovic now past Poussier, but here comes Martin Rieber, side by side between those two. Rieber's going to have the outside line going into senior, so that's not necessarily where he wants to be, but it's a fantastic battle, isn't it? Even for the tail end of the field, the last couple of points. The scratching's a point. Oh, big sideways moment, and he's pushed Poussier completely the opposite direction. Definitely a puncture now, I think, on the left front of Gilles Colombani's car. No, actually looks okay. But Colombani was sent left rather than right, because Rieber sent it into senior and it did not stick. A little bit of front right damage for Martin Rieber's Brutal Fish Honda now. Over the line for the second time. Battle for third position. Langeveld and Victor Davidovsky kissing as they come across the line, and Jack Young not sure where he wants to put his car. 3 wide for third position. Victor Davidovsky to the inside, Nils Langeveld in the middle, but he sweeps around and gets the position, and Jack Young follows through, and Jack Young has the inside line for turn 2 and makes that one stick as well. So Davidovsky dropping 2 spots, Langeveld onto the podium, and Jack Young again looking really strong. It was not, I'm sure it wasn't a good start directly off the line, but the Northern Irishman has really got himself working now, and he's on the back of the Elantra. What can the Honda do versus the Elantra? At Slovakia Ring, not a lot, but here, a slight weight break for the Honda, and I think they have a little bit more straight line speed. There is Jimmy Claret with Mikael Ashkanar right behind him. Battle for the lead, battle for third. Not the easiest place to overtake at the end of this long straight. The best place for the slipstream, of course, but then not a massive braking zone going in to senior. A better braking zone going into the chicane here. As Many Banani lines out Franco Girolami. This is for 6th position. Banani has Yelmany behind him, and then Sami Taufik. As I say, those Elantras did not make up that much ground in those first couple of laps, and we know from Many Banani's experience, at least yesterday, puncture on that left front tyre at the end of the 10-lap encounter, and Bernani's doing the same as he did yesterday, holding that tighter line, which gives him track position and may well give him the position, although the track turns left here, and Girolami has the inside line. Was there a little tap there? Not sure, but Girolami holds on for the moment, and that's Bernani's secret weapon, but I think, and I don't know whether it's the case, that holding that tighter line is great, but it doesn't do any favours for the Hankooks. It's not quite as hot as it was yesterday. We're about 3 degrees cooler than we were yesterday, and the humidity down as well. So maybe from learnings from yesterday's race and the slightly less hot temperatures, we won't have so many issues with the tyres. But by the end of the race yesterday, they were really limping around to keep the tyres from completely delaminating. Girolami on the defensive into turn 1. Bernani tries to send it in, just loses the rear end fractionally there, so can't run side by side with Girolami through turns 1 and 2, but sends it over the curb anyway, up on 2 wheels. That's what the touring car boys love to do. Crawling all over the curbs here at Paul Ricard. The long circuit version that we used last year when we returned to racing. Back in the day when we came here with the World Championship, we actually used a cut through. So the first corner was a right-hand turn. And we basically ended up going around what is our paddock and heading straight onto the halfway point of the Mistral and then heading back up. Short circuits, the idea being that they provide better racing, but not always the case. Certainly these big, long, slipstreaming straights working well here on the Mistral. Oh, look further back, getting very, very physical for Girolami and Mehdi Bernani. Girolami running Mehdi Bernani almost off the track, and there's now 4 wide going into Senior. You can't do that. All the way around the outside, though. Incredible move. Was that Sami Taufik? It was. Sami going up, was that, I think that's up 3 positions where he started this lap. Round Yelmani, round Bernani, and round Girolami as well. Incredible move from the Moroccan. A real star in karting, but such a different style of driving in front-wheel drive touring cars, and yet really to get a proper handle on things. But he knows his racecraft, and that was brave, and that worked incredibly well. We've seen the outside move done before. You know, it's pretty standard stuff, but not when you've got 3 other cars to your inside. You've got to be brave or stupid, I don't know, one of the two, or both, to get that one and make it stick. And what's more, he actually kept the car on the track as well. Davidovsky a little bit no man's land at the moment, in 5th position, as Jack Young has sped away from him. Young's really giving Langeveld some hassle, whereas Mikael Ashkenar is not able, really, at the moment to hassle Claire. And I get the feeling, actually, that the battle for 3rd is pushing hard onto the tail of Ashkenar. This battle for 3rd could become the battle for 2nd, couldn't it? Jakin Galash finally in the pit lane with his I-30. I think there was a problem from lap 1 for Galash, but he pushed on regardless, and that's left Mato Homolo, his teammate, the only car out there. Girolami on the defensive by the looks of things, very, very early on the Mistral. And here he is. Yeah, he's on the inside line. Bernani's hit his windscreen wipers and goes sideways and decides to cut the track. Such was the harsh defence. Now, where is Bernani going to filter in? Where is he? Oh, okay, yeah, there he is. And, oh, Jack Young with some damage perhaps just ahead. There was smoke coming off the front left wheel. And yes, he's got a puncture. Oh, that's a disaster for Jack Young, who pulls off on the outside of the circuit. It was looking so good for the Brit. And maybe just 1 too many bits of rubbing contact with Niels Langeveld. And the tyre is given up. Mehdi Bernani dropping behind Yelmani. There is Jack Young pulling off. And absolutely puncture left front tyre. Gutted. I thought we were on for a podium for Jack there. That's what we'd have loved to have seen. but now Brutal Fish turn their attention to KAS down in 10th position. Oh, and Niels Langevelt's in the pits. Langeveld comes into the pits as well, so there was contact between the two cars, and has Langeveld got a puncture? He hasn't got a left front puncture, but maybe an issue with the right rear. Either way, that battle for what we thought was going to be second position, the two contenders are now out. I can't quite see Langeveld coming into the pits below us, but doesn't really look as though the Sebastian Loeb Racing boys were ready for him. They're looking at the right rear. It could be a suspension rather than a tyre there. So that kind of Inspector Clouseau says that they had a bit of contact. And that's a real shame, perhaps through the chicane. So that means Claret leads Ashkana, with Davidovski now promoted up to 3rd position, and Taufik in 4th spot. Then Girolami, Yelmany, Banani, Kayas in 8th, Hommler 9th, and Tom Coronel in 10th position. We have lost Kayas, Claret, Teddy, Jack Young, and Niels Langeveld. Now a massive gap, isn't there, between our front two and Davidovski. And Davidovski in no man's land right now. Sami Taufik chasing him down. There's a bit of a gap also to Girolami. And our closest battle is Mehdi Banani trying to recover after that mistake. Oh, lovely and sideways from Yelmany through Senior. Just as he touched that yellow curb, it just fractionally spat the car sideways. Banani tries his usual thing, but Yelmany absolutely shuts the door on him. Was there contact between the two? That's not what you want. I don't think there was. But that's absolutely correct driving from Yelmany, telling his teammate, I know what you're doing, and I'm not allowing you to do it. Niels Langeveld back out onto circuit, so that potentially means tyre rather than suspension for the Dutchman, and he'll be hoping to pick up a couple of points as Banani again sticks his nose where it's not wanted into the final turn. They're half-assed moves, aren't they? They're not really proper overtakes right now. Banani's wasting a lot of momentum by doing that, and ultimately they should be, as teammates, focusing on closing down the gap to Girolami, not squabbling between themselves. Pretty close there between Kayas, Hommler and Coronel. That's for 8th position. All kinds of noises coming off the cars. You've got the turbos chattering. You've got the... Sounds like the wheels are also, or the tyres are also scrabbling for grip, and it's kind of like rental car squeaking. But there's a big, big gap between Jimmy Claret and Ashkana, and then Davidovski in 3rd position. 6 seconds. Taufik just 1 second back from Davidovski. Girolami only 1 second back. Yelmany only 1 second back. As a track limits warning has been given to Jimmy Claret, turn 3. He's being a bit greedy at the apex, I would imagine. Banani now ahead of Yelmany, so that has happened. But Yelmany looking to pick up a slipstream and try and find a way back past. Yelmany's looked very, very strong through this corner, slightly off apex there, but keeps the car on the inside the white lines. Now, will he try and do a Mehdi Banani line? No, Mehdi sits in the middle of the track, so no way of going up the inside there. But Banani now sets about trying to chase down Franco Girolami. They've given Girolami a little bit of breathing space the last couple of laps. He hasn't really had to be looking in his mirrors. Yesterday, Teddy Claret took the Clarets' maiden victory in TCR Europe. They've been on the podium before, but they'd never taken a victory. And now, Jimmy Claret looking like he might do the same again. Niels Langeveld back into the pits, I'm afraid. So the new tyre was fitted, but actually we're not seeing as much attrition as we saw yesterday. And therefore, there might not be any point running, because he's not going to pick up points for 15th position we score down to. Isidro Callejas with engine issues yesterday, running today. Brutal fix, an easy fix for them. But the pace that we saw in Slovakia, not quite there in at Paul Ricard here. They did a lot of testing in Slovakia. It was a bit of a chosen track to go testing. And I wonder whether Callejas not quite the same experience around here at Paul Ricard. And that's why he sits in 8th position. Davidovsky best of the Hondas in 3rd, then Girolami in 5th, Callejas in 8th. But of course, Jack Young was really the master of the Hondas this weekend. Now, what can Ashkina do with Claret? The gap's now down to 7/10. We've got just a couple of laps left. Ashkina sending it there, beautiful. I love that back shot where you can see the cars are four-wheel drifting. It's exactly how you want to drive a touring car, with the rear doing the rotating, not asking too much of the front tyres, because otherwise those front tyres have got to do the steering and the acceleration as well, and it puts a lot through them, especially in mid-speed corners like we have here. Ashkina is getting closer. Remember, last year Ashkina joined the championship a couple of races from the end, and he took 3 victories out of 4, and then took a victory in the first race of the season in Slovakia and a 2nd in race 2. It was such a good weekend for Ashkina. It's not been as strong here. But ultimately, that is the way that TCR works. You have a really strong weekend one weekend. It's unlikely that you'll be able to repeat that at the next track. Such is the way that we balance all of these different cars, built in different years. Modern technology versus older technology. That Peugeot, for instance, hasn't had any updates for a good couple of years, based originally on the 308 trophy that exists here in France, well supported as well, and modified to be a TCR car. Originally, actually, the first iteration that we saw in TCR was the trophy car. And actually, that car took victory, I seem to remember, in TCR Europe when it was a one-race shootout back in 2017. Aurélien Comte taking the championship aboard the Peugeot there. But it really has had performance here. In free practice 1, it was the class of the field. Jimmy Claret making a mistake in his fast qualifying lap in Q2, which put him down in 7th position for race 1, but it did mean he had that 2nd row start for race 2 and the reverse grid. Meant that it separated him from his brother as well, to allow Teddy the victory in race 1 and give a better chance to Jimmy in race 2, and he's taken it with both hands, hasn't he? And he's keeping Michael Ashkina at bay. This is another really good battle. Callejas, Hommler, Coronel, 8th, 9th and 10th. And they are quite a way back from Yelmini, 3 seconds back from Yelmini, who is dropping off Mehdi Benani. Last time over the line, Davidovsky and Tauflik were separated by just 0.2 of a second. In fact, looking at the graphic, Tauflik has got ahead, so we've got the Moroccan on the podium. Let's check as they come across the line. Look at the back of shot. Have we got a change for 3rd position? Yes, we do. The Elantra in 3rd, ahead of Davidovsky in 4th. And Davidovsky's being caught as well by Girolami and Benani. We're on to the last lap. This will be a famous podium for Sami Taufik if he's able to keep this on the island. Just one more lap. They don't seem to be struggling as much for tyres as we saw in race 1. The Moroccan has been on the podium only once before, or actually twice before, sorry, 2 times in Barcelona. So it wouldn't be his first visit to the podium, but it would be this year. And it was all down to that wonderful move at senior, where he went round the outside of 3 cars and set himself up to chase down Davidovsky. And he's going to make this one stick as Coronel looks to try and get past Mato Homola. Can he get Homola and Callejas? I think they're going into the chicane, aren't they? So Homola's got the inside line there. There's Bernani, again, all over the back of Franco Girolami. Girolami's had a breather for the last couple of laps, but on this last one, he'll have to watch out for the Bernani line. Bernani looks close enough to make it work as well, I would hasten to add. We'll see, I think we'll see Davidovsky on the podium anyway, because he's the best of our diamond drivers. So is he going to hold that tighter line here for Bernani? Can he hold the tighter line with tyres that are going off? Not quite close enough. That, I would have said, was his last opportunity. Here comes Jimmy Claret. From 4th on the grid, the 2nd row of the grid, it was a really, really good start, and he had himself clear air by turn 2. He's been caught but not passed by Michael Ashkener, and it's a Claret double here at Paul Ricard. Teddy in race 1, Jimmy in race 2, and Claret Sport have something to celebrate once again. Jimmy's first victory in TCR Europe, ahead of Michael Ashkener, who picks up another massive haul of points, and there's still plenty going on even at the last turn. Lots of dive bombing, lots of messy drivers. Who's going to come across the line at what point? Oh, there's another one off the road. And this is what, for 11th position, Gavrilov ahead of Borkovic, ahead of Leonov, ahead of Bart. Race control will be taking a look to see if that was all fair in love and war. Coronel ahead of Homola, I think, by the end too. Yep, so Coronel finishing in 8th, and they actually deposed Callejas. So Callejas dropping down to 10th position. Whoa, it all happened at the last lap, didn't it? Wow, TCR delivers every single time. Jimmy Claret is your victor. Ashkener 2nd, and Sami Taufik makes sure that Hyundai Elantra gets itself another podium. Mehdi Bernani will be very, very happy with that. Morocco will be very, very happy with that. And Bernani trying to catch up to his teammate to congratulate him. Whenever you speak to Mehdi Bernani about his result, it's always how much Sami is progressing. There we go then, the provisional results. The podium definitely shouldn't change. It was a very fair race, with Claret beating Ashkener by a 2nd in the end. Sami Taufik 9 back, ahead of Davidovsky in 4th, Girolami in 5th for PSS, and then Bernani ahead of Yelmany 6th and 7th. Coronel up to 8th by the end, deposing Isidro Callejas down to 10th position, although Callejas best of our rookies. Or was that best of the juniors? That's juniors, and Sami is our best rookie. Homola 9th, that's his best result this season. Gavrilov and all the cars further back. You've got to question who got that position on track and who decided to cut the track to get into that spot, because Gavrilov made up 3 positions on that last corner. Langeveld, Young, Gaesh and Claret are the drivers who I'm afraid were out of our race. Contact between Langeveld and Jack Young has been seen to be a racing incident, so no further action there, but both unfortunately retiring out of the race. And that is it for TCR here at Paul Ricard. Frenetic action as per usual, and a Claret double. Peugeot double as well. Not too much of a drive home for Claret Sport. For the others, actually, Gilles Colombani was 17th, and Sylvain Poussier picked up 15th spot, so the last points for Sylvain Poussier, and this is how it all happened. So yeah, Jack Young got an awful start, didn't he, from row 3, and the squabbling between the PSS and Ashkener cars allowed Jimmy Claret to find a bit of space. Now, how did he do it? 3 wide into turn 1. He looks to the inside line. He follows Ashkener through. Ashkener's made it past, but then runs deep. Jimmy Claret is on the anchors, holds the anchors tight, and off he goes into the lead. Jack Young sent sideways early doors by Franco Girolami. And unfortunately, Teddy Claret with a bit of damage early on. We think he stalled on the grid as well. Now that was an interesting move, wasn't it? Martin Rieber getting very, very sideways and clipping Gilles Colombani, who then got sent left, but he wanted to go right. Now this was the move of the race for me. Look at the Hyundai on the far outside, on the right-hand side. Sami Taufik, round 1, round 2, round 3 cars, and getting himself up into a position which was 4th at that point, and then he made it 5th. Some half-assed moves from Mehdi Banani, but eventually getting past his teammates Felicia Yelmany and up into 6th position. Battles further back, but it was Jimmy Claret who took the victory ahead of Ashkana and Sami Taufik. And there was some other things going on further back right there when we got 4 wide over the line trying to work out who finished in 11th position. Here is Jimmy Claret then, and where is Teddy? Has he got out of his overalls already? I think he probably has. And it's once again, congratulations between the two brothers. It was the younger brother yesterday, it's the older brother today. Yes. Well done, Jimmy. Ashkana, very, very happy with his day's work as well. I don't think we'll see Ashkana in Zandvoort, I'm afraid. He will have electric TCR duties to do for Cooper. Remember, he is a works driver, so the world stage is the priority for him. And unfortunately, we do have a clash with the first ever race for electric TCR. So Ashkana will be heading that way. I don't know what Volcano will do with his seat, whether they will give him another somebody else that to drive, or whether we will be down to 1 car. But either way, Ashkana has added more points to his championship tally. We know that Ashkana might actually have to miss Spa as well, so we might not see him until we get to the Nürburgring. And therefore, that championship lead that he's established will be nibbled away at over the next 2 rounds. But he might still hold on to the championship by the time we get to September. You never know. Right, let's get over to Mark James, who has Jimmy Claret today, the older brother who's taken victory.
Jimmy, it was Teddy yesterday, it's you today. Very many congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really, really happy to win a race, finally, in this kind of championship. I'm so happy because I was really aggressive on the start. And like yesterday, I exited the turn 1 in P1, so I was happy, and after I was really confident in my car, and I'm clearly happy about me because I never did a mistake, I never missed an apex, a braking zone, so I'm really okay. And with the Ascona pressure was amazing all the race. He was really fast in the last sector, and I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, Mikael did not make it easy for you, did he?
No, it was really, really aggressive on the brake. I'm happy. It was a good race.
It looks like it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I think he was happy. So yeah, Teddy Claret at the very tail of the shot there, didn't get off the line at all. It was a pretty fair start between the top 4. So yes, you can see Teddy Claret's Peugeot there, stationary at the back of shot. Now, Ashkana has the inside line here, but I think he's just a bit too hot. That little contact there may have just unsettled him, which opens the door and allows Jimmy a clear track, basically, into turn 2. And then he led into turn 5 down here. That's Jack Young being tagged by Franco Girolami. And unfortunately then, there was a little bit of contact with Niels Langeveld, and that is why Jack Young ended up off the track and out of the race, as did Niels Langeveld, sadly. And we're just getting ourselves prepared for the podium. Best ever result also for Viktor Davidovsky, trying to see where his best previous result was, because he's actually only done a few races with us last season, so this is very much his best overall. 4th position, but I think, I'm not entirely sure, but I think we'll see him on the podium as our best diamond driver. Just having a quick look to see who's in there. Thumbs up to get our drivers onto the podium. Yeah, I think there's Brutal fish driver up there. Victor Davidowski in the far right there. And so he's preparing himself. Third position, Sami Taufik. Playing tennis yesterday to keep himself sharp before race 1. Found himself a pit garage to bang the ball against. And he grabs his trophy for third spot. He's left his champagne, though. Has he picked up his champagne? Don't leave the champagne. Second position for Michael Ashkenar. Happy days, another solid points haul. And he held, Jimmy Claret held Michael Ashkenar at bay, and the Pommery is up there on the podium as well. We also have a new champagne sponsor as well in Pink Flamingo. So if you prefer your champagne rosé, then win yourself the junior or rookie or diamond and you get yourself a Pink Flamingo. There is Papa Claret, and he gets himself up onto the podium. Lots and lots of work from him and his team. And it's really great to have such a family affair. And that's a Zidro Kayeash, I think, as the French national anthem rings out. So that was Zidro Kayeash as the best rookie up on the podium. So there's the points. Look at the gap that Ashkenar has over Banani, with Jimmy Claret up to third position, Franco Girolami fourth, so Coronel drops 3 positions after that. And I didn't realize this, but being in France, we respect the champagne, and therefore we do not spray it. So the champagne is to be drunk, not to be sprayed. Ironic, really, is the first time we ever sprayed champagne was at Le Mans, which is obviously in France. But yeah. Don't know if that's a rule across all motorsports. But either way, the Pommery being respected, and we can have champagne with our lunch. That sounds like a good compromise. Pommery and Pink Flamingo. You guys will see us in a couple of weeks' time at Zandvoort. The 19th and 20th of June is our next 2 rounds. We expect a slightly different looking grid, but we will be alongside SRO's championships once again. So it will be a spectacular feast for you before we go to Spa at the end of July, and then the Nürburgring at the end, or the start of September, actually. But from myself and the whole team here at TCR Europe, it's been great to be back at Paul Ricard, the place where we kicked our championship off last year after the COVID, and it's great to have been back with fans and spectators. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. And the ever young Dutchman.